And welcome back to Chainsaw Slaughter. We have the last set of the day, Dead Future versus Bombom. We have Dead Future's Jinxie on the Oni against these Bombom survivors and Juki's. What do you think about this build here?
I think the build is fine. I think that Oni has a lot more ability to play around windows when in power, but that is assuming that there's going to be an early tag or two. I do think that I would have swapped Bam for Agi, but I'm also a bot, so I don't know necessarily if I know what I'm talking about in that regard. I just think that the thing is that people talk about when they make builds is that are you playing for when you play perfectly? Are you, excuse me, planning for when you play perfectly? Are you planning for when you make mistakes? And I think that this is definitely one of those builds that you plan to play for when you are good, but for whatever reason, Forsaken decides to play that doorway a little bit different. I understand that Bomb, well, I'll let you take this one, Potato. What region is Bomb from?
That is a great question, and I will tell you shortly. Bombom is South America. Yep, every single member. So this is a bit of an NA versus SA as the down does come in. Because most of Dead Future is NA, and Jinxie is NA East. For that first down, we saw a few pallets dropped. We saw one gen pop, Corrupt's gone, and this is a pain res hook, and getting this hook in this location is why Agi's brought. Bam is good on the windows. This map has some tiles that Bam is really helpful on. You have Shack, you have some help at main building, and a few occasional tiles, but Agitation is going to let you get an Oni camping a hook in what looks to be a... Realistically, you could argue this is a 4-gen. You have one deep in this corner, one shell in this corner, one kind of around here on the other side that's defendable because this hook is just low enough that you can look at all three of them. And main building does pops. There's the fourth of that quote-unquote 4-gen. But with a hill as well, kind of creating an extra bit of a dead zone, Agitation might be paying dividends, getting them all the way over here. But you have power. These survivors need to be cranking out gens or thinking about how to get this unhooked safely. But against an Oni with power, that's a hard task.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that makes this matchup difficult and why I brought up the region is that for the uninformed, there is probably about like a 250 ping difference between NA East and South America, and that's being extremely generous. And what this does mean is that Bombom has to play and predict the movements against this killer. Because of the ping difference, normal strategies that would work with the same region, like say 40 ping difference, do not work at all because it's quite literally 6 times the ping differential. So the way that Forsaken played that Shack probably looked a lot different on their screen, but we're obviously seeing from Spectator, and this isn't even what Jinxie has, but Jinxie hits a nasty 180. So Jinxie getting the down on the Ada there at the tile, and now going back to the gen that is active actually. So Bombom is playing this very interesting to be able to try and greet these gens, and that's all really that one can do on this level of ping, but Jinxie just gets out of power there. And Bombom playing this really well considering. I've seen my teams before that I've been on go against Bombom or an SA team or something with a big ping differential against an Oni, and it's very difficult. Oni is such a dynamic killer, and Oni is definitely one of the killers that we say 2k6 or 4k1, which it looks like is heading in that direction, but I don't know the gen progress at the moment, and that's what makes these ping matchups so fascinating to watch. I know that some leagues don't allow it, and they actually exclude South American teams from participating. Just for the sake of entertainment, this is such a fun matchup to watch. Dead Future has a lot of comp experience, and so does Bombom, and to be able to see these two teams face off in quite the most international matchup we'll probably see today, or that we've seen today, it's so fascinating to me, Potato.
Yeah, what's also fascinating is the fact that they did manage to do quite a few interesting things on the survivor side. They managed to stall Tron out for a while. They took Chase away from the gens being worked, and this is the death hook survivor, I believe, getting hooked in basement. Stalling just a little bit longer, forcing locker, meaning it's going to take so long for Oni to get anywhere else. With one gen left, the great gen spread, high pressure on the Shack gen, but they're going to have to give it up. Let it get kicked, but Eruption's cooldown is not back up yet. But Jinxie gonna have to run around the map, try to find somebody before this power runs out. With Lion Fang, it's a 55-second power instead of a 45-second power. Enough to let this generator regress. But as you said, if they do find somebody, that ping differential is gonna make it difficult for the survivors to have those quick time events, those QTEs, as other games call it, but DBD calls them 50-50s, check spots, so many other words that require immense reaction time. And the blood in this locker says there's a survivor inside of it, and this is a fresh hook, and we'll see if this is a pain res hook.
Yeah. Do you have that gen regression notification there? I don't know, because this is part of the reason why I don't know if Agi is the greatest on this map for that reason. You know, again, like I said, it's a big map, and so most people default to trying to use it to get map-wide pressure and take it to a pain res. But one of the things I've said before that I personally believe that I don't know everyone agrees with, in fact, I think very few people agree with, is that pain res is definitely one of the biggest throw perks sometimes that people will try to force to get value. But thankfully, with a map this wide open, I could see that people get a lot of value out of it. And the reason I say I feel like it's a throw perk sometimes is that people will focus on trying to get their pain reses rather than playing for map position or just slugging at the right time because they feel that pain res can help carry. And I think that this is the biggest nerf that we've seen to pain res in recent time. Pain res went from being, I believe, a 15% perk that had unlimited usage to being 25% for survivor hook, and now it's down to 20%, and the gens are still the same speed, but the hook timer is longer. So pain res is not even close to being as strong as it used to be. It doesn't give info, it just gives regression, and even then that regression is a lot more limited than it used to be. But what we do see here about Eruption on Oni is that when people do try to hop lock, is that you get a regression and you get aura, and that is invaluable in this situation. And here you have Jinxie just faking the main building play, and I think that this is going to be a down likely on Gallo here shortly. And remember what I said about the 4K1 versus the 2K6. It was looking like it was heading to the 2K6 area, but now it looks like that Jinxie is catching up right here, but also realizing too that the slug on the ground is very precious, and now fakes that again. I do think Bombom is getting a little bit aggressive with some of their players. They do want to make this a 4K all to try and break that, but Jinxie gets the locker hit here, and unless Gallo can pull something off, it does look like this is heading to a 4K1 potato.
I'd say the same. You have one person on the hook, one person down, and with that being the last pain res stack, that means that you're gonna have a little bit of time before Gen flies if the last survivor is trying to crank it out. Jinxie takes a look around, trying to collect some blood, not scared of the gens, with one on the hook, one on the ground, only one person to do anything productive. That person might be stealthing, that person might be trying to go for the pickup, that person might be trying to go for the pull, that person trying to go for the gen. There's a lot of options, some of them safer than others, but blood orbs being everywhere means it's easy to track. And Jinxie with some good math, knowing that they have time to collect the blood and then check this gen, means they can chase Gallo fake as long as they need to, because they've gotten all the fresh hooks, so bleed out's not a concern. Letting people down hook is not a concern, so as long as Gallo fake or Donkey don't get the hatch, I think you're fine. And playing some Oni 50-50s, Shannon with a ping is going to be the detriment to Bombom.
Yeah, I mean, really the ping differential is just makes this matchup so interesting. And like I said earlier, the different rule sets that leagues have, whether it becomes to which regions are allowed, which procedures are used to lock in perks, I think leagues should definitely be proud of having a variation in that. The way that I liken it to is that when tennis play on different types of turf, you'll have clay, you'll have dirt, you'll have hardwood, but I mean, excuse me, not hardwood, grass, but just in general, what this does is that it adds a different skill set for people to either play with heavier predictions, play predicting their builds. There's just different ways to handle it, and I do believe that it's not going to be a fresh bleed out. So it could just sit on there for the rest of the match while we cut out to the second half of this matchup. But just really quickly wanted to say that this was beautifully played by both sides, and just to get also clear that getting a 4K1 against a ping heavy Oni is definitely something that Bombom did very well here. I can't express enough how fascinated I am to just see different regions, different countries come together in pursuit of competitive DBD. We'll be right back with the second half of this matchup between Bombom and Dead Future. And here we are with the final matchup of the afternoon. We have Dead Future on the serve, Bombom on the killer. And again, another international matchup for the day. So instead of Agi, we have Donkey with Pop, but the usual pain res eruption. So remember what we said again, that all the builds are locked ahead of time. And I do believe that the win con is going to have to be a 4K2. So Bombom, they are in a good position right now to be running corrupt, and it was a decent spawn. But what it is also is that with the Shroud of Binding and Vigo Shroud, all survivors start on the same side of the map together. But what that also means too is that the killer knows where they are. Spawn is still randomized though. So what that means also is that one team might have a good spawn, another team might have a crappy spawn, and all this does is add to the intrigue of the match. But now we have Dino Melon going down here to Shack, and the pallet being dropped earlier gives Dino Melon the opportunity to just take that and head to a safe area. So Potato, what do you want to see out of Donkey here on the Oni?
What I want to see is a first hit coming in somewhat quickly if you want to play for the win condition. If you want to play for the tie condition of a 4K1, you can kind of chill, think things through. But if you want a 4K2 win, you're going to need to get hit very soon. This pallet going to be going down right here. There's the kick. I mean, we are moving on. We think we saw a second survivor run into this tile, but Finesse making sure to take a little while before they have to use any resources. But some good mind games by Donka, stalling hopefully long enough, but still having to kick this pallet, not one you can bloodlust around super easily. But Finesse not making a lot of distance, but making it enough to get to this filler pallet. And a lot of pallets drop, but again, denying first hit against an Oni. Oni without the first hit is just an M1 killer with nothing fancy. And Corrupt is over, first gen has popped, and still not a first hit. That is a big concern if you're looking for a winning condition of a 4K2.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It is looking like it's pretty good for Dead Future right now. One of the things that I just say is that with Dead Future's experience in playing in cross region, they put themselves at an equal footing, if not more, an advantage than Bombom. They have a lot of experience in playing these sorts of high stakes games, but the same thing with Bombom can be said as well. So we are looking at probably the best cross region game of today. But speaking of doing nothing fancy, Finesse over here really finessing himself around the pallet, and it is looking like they're gonna get all gens done at this rate. It is at this point a 2 gens remaining with no hits, no downs, no anything. And you can even look at the Oni meter right now, right? It's looking really rough. I'm not gonna hold back on that. It is very rough, and this is a very good setup. And right now it looks like Donkey is doubting himself, gonna go and try and get a tag finally on Jinxie, and Jinxie with the delayed free run away from the generator. But I think also at the same time too, they're just happy to sit on the gens and get as much progress as they can. So I think that at this rate, it's looking like it's gonna be Dead Future winning this.
The only power that Donka has is the Oni power, because you're correct. This is one gen left. You need a 4K with no more gens popping. And you have 0 hook stages. But you do have Oni power, arguably the strongest power in the game once you have it. Nurse has a great power, Blight has a great power, but Billy has a great power, but Oni is something special. That's why there's a duration on it, but we have the down on Jinxie. But is this going to be enough to stall this game out? We get the kick for the eruption, hope there's a pain res. And looking at this gen spread, as soon as these hooks go away, is that in 3 opposite corners? That's in 3 opposite corners. This is not a 3 gen. This is the opposite of a 3 gen. This is a something. I don't know what to call it. Hey Juki, what do you call this?
I call it a starf is what I call it. The thing is that it's like a triangle, but I like to use the word starfish because I love SpongeBob. But that being said, it looks like not even our Lord and Savior Sponge 1v1 could get this win right now. So I think that the issue that Donkey is having is that there's just too much going on. The way that I liken it to is that when you see somebody in the kitchen having all the tickets fly at them when they have a bunch of orders, I'm sure that's what Donkey feels like right now, is that Dead Future's been cooking in the kitchen, and as you can see, Bombom just burnt the pupuseria. I don't know what else to say other than that Dead Future played this perfectly. And I wish that I had other things to say that were nice about this performance by Donkey, but unfortunately, it just looks like they got overwhelmed too quickly. But also, the hats off needs to go to everybody on Dead Future with how they played this. They played this fantastic. They played around their ping. They played around their tiles. Even right now, you see them playing around the head-on. And it's just wonderful because one of the things that they do is that you see the tile that was dropped there by Shaq earlier, I believe by Dino. And I believe that the chase went there later, either by Finesse. And what it does is that it just gives the team something to work with. When they call out what pallets get dropped, that means that they could take chase there and they can efficiently loop the killer knowing that. And I just think that part of it is that Donkey probably got into his head a little bit seeing the win con, which is normal. And I've seen better performances by Bombom, and I've certainly seen worse performances by Dead Future. But to see, obviously, just a fantastic performance on the part of Dead Future and such a difficult performance by Bombom, it just shows you that the term is used in football, in American gridiron. They call it any given Sunday. Is that any team could be any team, depending on what it is that is going on. There's many factors that go on as the human factor, and I'm just in awe of how Dead Future has played this.
I think Dead Future is doing amazing, and there's a pallet save just to finish off this game, as this should get every survivor out the doors, and that will be Dead Future taking the last matchup of the day. That is all of the matches we have for you. However, 2 important things. 1, we will be having the rest of the Chainsaw Slaughter tournament this weekend, tomorrow specifically. It'll be starting the same time as today's stream, that is 5 p.m. for you EU viewers in the CEST time zone. For American viewers, that is 11 a.m. EST or 8 a.m. PST. Same time as today. And second, we'll be sending you over to some other competitive DBD matches if you want some more comp DBD. And hopefully we will see you all here tomorrow.